Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
So Mark Morowitz is here with us in the studio, fresh. And I'm not going to tell you about his editorial yet. It's coming in the February issue, but it's titled Let It Go. You know, Mark, and I don't want to talk about it. I guess we could talk about it now, but you really hit exactly what happens. In fact, you made me think about something when I read that. And it's a little personal, and I'll tell you about it later off the air, but it's cute how you said you've heard a lot of rodeos, as we say, over the years, and people do put people in and out of their will. I know that.
Yeah, it's really sad. Every time I hear it, it's just a control issue. People need to control everybody in their life, and when I hear stuff like that, it's like people are, they don't enjoy their lives as they get older because they're worried about controlling their children, their grandchildren, and if the children and grandchildren don't do what they want, I'm taking you out of the will.
Well, I just have to tell you this one thing. My father, who actually was a lawyer, he went to law school when he was 40, but he wanted someone to call him every day. And, now I understand it more, but, when you're young, you don't, and if you didn't, he'd call the next day and say, I'm taking you out of the will. That's what he did all the time. We're always going in and out of the will. That's why I laughed when you wrote this article. So,
he's probably spent so much money on lawyers that there was nothing left.
He was his own lawyer. No, but he wasn't. He was a difficult man anyway. But you're absolutely right. It is a very strange thing when you make a will. And if your kids are pretty decent, that's it. But when some kids do get out of sorts and they get in trouble, people do change their wills.
There's a lot of issues that come in, and family issues. This was mostly about family issues, and when spouses come into play, and kids come into play, and people don't fully understand the day-to-day goings on in the different households. Now instead of a nuclear family with two parents and two kids, now there's two parents in one household, one kid with a husband and kids in another. And everybody's got different things to do. And I remember going through this years ago with my mother-in-law, and, she would always complain that, we lived about 2 hours away from her, and she, my kids were early teens and playing football and basketball and whatever they were doing. And she would always complain that we never came to see her. And I said to her, well, why don't you sell your house and move down to South Jersey where we were living? I said, this way you could see my kids every day.
Yeah.
And then go home.
Right. I
said, it's hard to travel. Your kids got different things going on. They're 3 years apart. There's three of them. Everybody's got something different. As important as it is to see grandma, it's important for them to be with their friends as well. So, people don't get that. I don't know that she ever threatened to take us out of the will. But I know she took other people out of the will. But, it's just, it is what it is.
Well, I have an answer. I think that nobody should leave their family any of the money. They should find a fantastic charity and just give it to them. And I know, maybe buy them a house now, buy them some cars, buy them some stuff, buy them some stock. But just do it now and forget the will stuff. I mean, I know you have to have a will, but give it to a charity so that there's not all this stuff. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but
Warren Buffett did that. Warren Buffett, I guess, I don't know how many kids he has, but he's leaving all his money to charity. And everybody said, well, what about your kids? He said, I've given my kids enough that they have a start. The rest is up to them.
That's wonderful. But so they are going to have enough money that they have to do something. And then it's over. So
while he's alive, he said, I'm giving you a start.
Right.
You make out of it what you can, and the rest of my money, because I don't want you guys fighting over what I have.
Exactly.
And then worrying that I'm selling.
I like that.
Yeah, it is. It would be great if people could do that. But, we want to protect our kids. In fact, I told my one of my sons yesterday, I said, because he's struggling, okay? I said, I want you to think about this. You don't have to answer me. If I die tomorrow, what's going to happen to you? And you don't have to answer me. Just think about that, because it could happen. I mean, I don't plan on it, but you never know, right? So you need to, to start, providing for yourself. And,
yes.
and it's really difficult. I mean, everybody's got, different illnesses and stuff like that, but you got to start thinking along those lines. And I hope, I don't know what else to say other than, I'll help you. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
But if I'm gone tomorrow, all bets are off.
And has this been a generational thing where our kids now rely on the families to take care of them? You think that years ago, well, let's just think about this. Years ago, people didn't have a lot of money, and they were not taking care of their kids. The kids were taking care of them.
Yeah, it's the first generation that's not as well off as all the previous
right, the
ones.
boomers, right.
Why
do you think that is?
Because things just changed. Things changed back in the late 80s when our generation was in our early 30s. The economy, the stock market crashed, the economy crashed. Then it happened again in the early 2000s. Then it happened again in 2008. So we and our kids were still growing up and still, so we've lost a lot of wealth. So we're not going to leave it to our kids. Okay. And we try to provide for our kids, but I'm not going to get political here, but for as great as the economy is out there, not every kid became a successful lawyer.
You're absolutely right.
Not every kid became a CEO of some startup, company. So there
a lot of struggling people.
Kids,
very
when I
much
say kids in their 30s and 40s that don't have a 401k.
Yeah, you're right.
And they don't have health insurance and a lot of and one of the things that happened back, I guess, in the early 2000s, late 90s. They discovered, the medical field discovered, the initials, ADD, ADHD, and it became very prevalent. And a lot of people now have it, okay? I don't want to say it becomes a crutch to them, but, they rely on having that affliction to not accomplish some of the things that they want. And I'm sure I don't have it. I'm not totally learned in it, but I'm sure that it gets in the way of life. But you got to say, okay, parents are going to be gone someday. I got to figure out how to do this, who to rely on, who to talk to, what to research, what to do. And I think that's where it's difficult for some young people today to make it out.
Let me tell everybody, if you've just tuned in, it's Mark Morowitz. You've heard him before. He's really quite a philosopher. He thinks he's a CPA, but he's really a philosopher. He's a philosophizing. I don't know if that's a word, CPA. But Mark's pretty good. And if you're looking for someone to help you with your finances as a CPA and also as a human being, he's a great humanist. And I really like that about Mark Morowitz. You can call him at 609-338-3603. Again, remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio. You got to write these numbers down. Don't do it on a yellow piece of paper. Put it in your phone or put it somewhere on your refrigerator. 609-338-3603. And especially now, it's tax time, and maybe you haven't done what you're supposed to have done. Call him because he's here in South Florida, and he's an awfully nice person, and he will help you, just like his articles. If you read them every month in Boomer Times, he writes incredible articles. I was thinking about this. I think it can make an interesting little book. A small little book with all your articles because every one of them will hit somebody in some way.
I'm accumulating them, yeah.
Because you are very much, there's a lot of philosophy in your thinking. You've been around for a while.
It's not my first rodeo. Somebody on Facebook said that I was the Will Rogers of our time.
Interesting.
That's pretty wild.
It is very nice, but I feel that in you, that you have the education of a professional, but you also have the human side to things. You've lived, and you're not afraid to express it.
I got to that point. It took a while to get to that point. In fact, that was one of my conversations with my son yesterday, and he can't express himself the way he wants. And I said, you know what? When I speak to you and I upset you because I don't understand what just say, hey, Dad, back off. I hate you or whatever. I'll understand. It's okay. And I know you still love me. That's what good friends do. That's what, if family can't do that, be blunt with each other, then, it's all the fun is taken out of life.
Oh, well, I know you've been very helpful to your kids. And, of course, they live in California, I believe.
That's
and
right.
you're here. But so are you having fun? That's what I never ask you this.
Well, I got here a little late today. I had a lot of fun last night. And at 7:45, my iPhone rang and said 8 o'clock. I went, oops.
But you're having fun in your life, besides being a professional.
I'm trying. I didn't have good role models for having fun in my life.
Is that right?
Yeah, my parents didn't have a lot of fun. My mother might have. She used to play mahjong all the time. But my father, they didn't know how to enjoy themselves.
That's true.
They were always trying to save as much money as they could, and so. Yeah, I don't ever remember going on a family vacation growing up.
Really?
So that's what I saw growing up, and I'm learning now. Probably for the last 10, 15 years that life only comes around once. So, tax season, I played golf last Saturday. I'm going to play golf next Saturday, and the tax returns will get done when they get done.
Yeah, but you have people fairly trained, and you don't. You have a lot of clients who have been with you for a long time, but we're trying to get you some new clients and just to go on Facebook, to go on the internet and look up accountants or CPAs. That's not so smart. Why don't you do it with someone you've heard on the radio, you've read his articles. I trust you, and that's very important. www.morowitzcpa.com. You can check out, well, first of all of our interviews are on there, and they're a lot of fun to watch. Yes.
But you can check out our Yelp, reviews.
Oh, so you have a nice Yelp, high reviews.
Absolutely. So, people it's a lot of fun working with me. So you'll really enjoy yourself. So call.
And it's important. And as when you read his next article, don't be so fast to take people out of your will, right?
Sit back, think, and that's one of the things that I say in the article is, any lawyer worth his salt will say, it's probably a very emotional thing, whatever's going on, take a step back, take a deep breath. Tomorrow's another day. Give it a little time. And that's kind of my approach to dealing with people, my clients. Take a little time. Don't do anything irrational. Don't do anything rash. And if in 6 months things are still the same, you want to change your will, go ahead.
Yeah, well, you can really understand when there's a child or some people who do the things that are wrong. I mean, why do you want to give them anything that you have, right?
Doing something seriously wrong is one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. There are ways to protect them, and chances are, if an adult does something seriously wrong, they probably shouldn't be trusted with a large sum of money. They should have some kind of trust fund that somebody manages for them. I have competition here.
Right. Sorry.
And but like this article wasn't really talking about somebody who did something wrong. It was just some parent had a difference of opinion with a child.
Right. So. Well, I think that the most important thing, though, is that, a lot of people have family. They'd really rather have friends. Oh, I'm getting a little thing here, and my little doggy is having a little problem here. But, I know that there's a saying about family, that people would rather have friends than family. Family can be very difficult.
Right. That's right. Sometimes you have to, take stock of who's in your life and maybe keep some distance. Who knows? That's an individual thing.
Well, I have to just tell you that I just heard from a family member yesterday telling me that something happened that wasn't very good, and now they're not talking to one another. And it was a financial serious thing. So I can understand that.
Those happen, and that's not really what I'm referring. I'm referring more to, your grown child doesn't, move someplace that you don't like them to move, and that's not a serious thing.
No, it's not.
Get over it.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Let it go.
But I think going back to what Warren Buffett did is, I think, a very good, if you can afford to do that. Most people can't afford to give out enough money and then.
Yeah, I'm sure he gave his, when he's given a good start. I mean, most kids don't get that.
No, of course.
His kids are grown, so I mean, he's in his 80s.
But years ago, I used to hear where when someone got married and it was a good close family, they bought him a house. They used to do that. I mean, or put a down payment on a house.
Right.
I don't know if people do that anymore.
Well,
that's a very good idea.
I have some friends that offered their daughters the option of either a large wedding or down payment on a house. And, depending on the kids, some women like to have large weddings and some women like to have houses. So,
exactly.
It all depends.
Exactly. Well, it's a big story. It's a big subject. And the nice thing is, as a matter of fact, I just realized that yesterday was the day that I got everything together to give to my employees. They get their W-2s. Right. And it's a hard time in a sense because you get to see exactly what's going on with your financials, and that's what happens when you're working on their tax returns. Don't you then have certain you take responsibility and you have certain suggestions that they should do? It's because, as you once said before, if they're struggling with money, then don't have this or get rid of this, right?
Yeah, when people come, when my clients come to me, they know that they're not just getting some pieces of paper in return.
Right.
They're going to get their advice, whether they want it or not, whether they take it or not. That's totally up to them. But there should be an ongoing rapport between an accountant and their clients. Even if it's just a once-a-year tax line, feel free to call and text and ask me some questions. And, if I can help, which I do most of the time, you'll be better off when you see me in January to do your tax return. That's what I like to see.
But wait, what do you do all year? I mean, it's just not the taxes. I mean, yes, you have business. So what do you usually see people once a month?
It's interesting how what I do has evolved. Years ago when I was young, would go to my clients' offices once a month and, pick up this huge set of very heavy books, literal books. Now everything is done on a computer, and what I do is I say, send me a copy of your QuickBooks file. I never even go to my clients' offices anymore.
Really? But you talk to them on the phone.
Offices. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you talk to them on the phone a lot.
Yeah. In fact, yesterday I was Skyping with potential client in Sweden, so to do some tax work there. So,
Mark, have you ever been asked to be that somebody's not having their CPA do a good job? And what's that called? It's like a forensic. Have you ever done forensic accounting?
I have.
Do you like that?
Yeah, it's fun. It's different. Depending on what kind. I mean, there's various different kinds. I try not to get involved in too many disputes between accountants and their clients, but not everybody is as capable and competent as some other people, and it doesn't mean that they have bad intentions.
Well, I have to tell you, and I never like to talk personally about things, but I remember that my brother was an accountant, and my father. We had a trust, and my brother was the one that was supposed to be. He has passed away since, so I can talk about it. Yeah, but we found out he wasn't doing what he's supposed to, and we had a very big problem. And I did have to go to a major CPA firm,
right?
And they found a lot of things he wasn't doing right.
Yeah,
and that it's a very painful thing when you may not like your brother particularly, but you assume he's going to do the right thing.
You would
think.
But
people don't do that all the time. Mark?
No, in fact, there's a lot of
We're
the
seeing
time
a lot of this now, too, everywhere, in politics and all.
And it's difficult to get involved in family matters, but, like I say, I try to be honest with my clients and blunt with them and let them make the decision on which way they want to go,
Yeah, but you have to first know that they're not doing the right thing.
Well, you know what? Sometimes it's when you have 43 years of experience, it's how to follow the money.
Follow the money.
Follow the money. And when somebody says that my parents had a lot of money, how come? And my brother has a big house and I don't have anything. You kind of realize that something's going on. okay? And but you don't want to jump to conclusions. You don't want to hurt family relationships right off the bat. That's for other people to do. And then if somebody says, "I want you to see what's going on," then the cat's out of the bag.
You're I know you can't put your lawyer hat on because you don't have a lawyer hat.
Correct.
But in a sense, when someone is growing older and maybe they're not remembering everything they should, a lawyer, when they come to a lawyer, they should know that. They should see something's wrong. Do you do that as a CPA? Do you notice that maybe they're going down a little bit in their calls and all? Because that becomes dangerous. They start giving away money. They start, right?
I have a client, as a matter of fact, right now, whose bills I pay, who has a drinking problem. And basically has lost like the last 7 years, and just recently woke up and has no idea why there's not as much money there as there used to be. And and I feel as though I'm being accused of something, and it's sad, and as much as you try to explain to them, this is what's happened in the past 7 years. This is where your money is, and it's.
And we have done the show.
Excellent. I'm glad I made it.
Yeah, right. Thank you. I'm glad you did too, and it's always wonderful having you here.
I figured you would rerun another show.
Yeah, well, we were, but I was so glad that you came in. I was going to talk about the Boomer Expo, which was, by the way, very successful.
Oh, really?
We had a wonderful time and all that,
but
we thank you, and I think that you always give us a lot of good information, and my dog likes you, and
good thing. Right.
So thank you. I hope are you going to do anything for the Super Bowl?
I think I'm just going to have a few friends over.
Oh, you saw the prices. I mean, isn't that outrageous? I don't know how they get all that.
I had season tickets for the Dolphins for 2 years, figuring that in 2020 I'd get into the lottery to get tickets.
Yeah, but nothing.
You know what? I have no desire to go spend my time with hundreds of thousands of people in Miami.
Ridiculous.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for being on our show, and we'll see you next time.